I guess it's Tuesday morning when I'm recording this and going live as well on my show. Hi, how are ya? Welcome to December, I guess, right? It's December. I've got a bunch of stuff I want to get to, including the theft of the election. There's no doubt about this. Everybody knows there's no doubt about this. Democrats know there's no doubt about this. Dear God in heaven, are you out of your nut? There is so much evidence. It's overwhelming, and honestly, just not going to accept Joe Biden as the president. It is not going to happen. And I'll tell you what, I don't care what happens. There are 80 million people who are just not going to take it. So sick of this. We aren't fools, okay? We're not stupid. That's my slogan. We aren't stupid. That's why we're saying the election is being stolen. It's not because we're being paranoid. We're not stupid. And Democrats know that we're not stupid, and they know that what they've done, because there are thousands of them who partook in it. Give me a freaking break. This time they bit off a little bit more than they can chew. They've been able to do this in cities like Philadelphia, Detroit, and Chicago for decades, including centuries. But this thing, they decided they'd get a little greedy because they really hate Donald Trump. So they started planning 3 years ago as they were attempting to destroy him and overthrow him in a coup attempt with a false Russian scandal and then a false impeachment, among other things. And their 4-year temper tantrum, while they were throwing their temper tantrum, they were planning on the biggest heist in the history of elections in the world. And we aren't going to take it. You know why? Say it with me. We're not stupid. I had an argument with my son yesterday online, and he's cackling and laughing. He's a college student, and he's fine with Joe Biden being elected. And I sent him an article that has been touted by Rand Paul. And it shows that the Trump's margin of defeat happened in 4 data dumps between 1:34 a.m. and 6:31 a.m. And there is this larger piece about it that involves mathematical graphs and things like this that I can't comprehend. But he's a math guy. I mean, he took like an advanced calculus class his freshman year in college. The teacher wrote me and said, hey, my class is supposed to be a cakewalk. He made it look easy. I sent him the study that showed the graphs of the abnormalities, and they are absurd. I haven't heard back. And I would hope that my son, he's a great guy, and I love him very much, but I would hope that he looks at the numbers and goes, despite my political ideology and my disagreement with my father, this makes sense. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Also, the outrage that is COVID-19, the outrage that is literally killing our kids. That's all coming up. And I don't want to sound so animated, but I'm just done. I'm just done. You're done. We're not, quite simply, you can watch the nightly news. You can watch, Jane Pauley talking about Joe Biden's pets moving into the White House and Joe Biden breaking his foot because he's old. Thank God he didn't fall out of the bathtub and break his hip, because then it's a downward slide to the end. But I'm tired of hearing these pleasantries. Yesterday, the First Lady of the United States, she's absolutely beautiful. She's intelligent. She escaped communism to come here. She speaks 5 languages. She's graceful. She's magnificent. She is the second coming of Jackie O, except for she's smarter than Jackie O. And they shredded her. They shredded her for the damned Christmas decorations. Unbelievable. Before I go further, I want to mention that we do have a winner for this month's freezer full of Wagyu beef from Hassel Cattle Company and a pit barrel cooker. He is from the Kansas City area, and his name is Felix Stankiewicz. It's Stankiewicz, I believe. But anyway, he's a big fan. He has been following me. He is on my Rumble page. He is on my YouTube page, and he might be learning about this right now. So I want to congratulate Phoenix for being a big fan. We do have, we're going to be doing this again. Okay, we're going to be doing this again in December. Again, it is a freezer full of Wagyu beef, and that's from Hassel Cattle Company in Texas, and also a pit barrel cooker. These are amazing. These are amazing machines. Let me see if I've still got my meme about pit barrel and the steak, because it is absolutely unbelievable, and the best steak I've ever had. And I've eaten a lot of steak, man. There it is. There's a steak meme. There it is. Bing! There you go, right there. So there you go. Hassel Cattle Company. Here's my winner last month. Freezer full of Wagyu beef. This is expensive stuff, and it's absolutely awesome. If you're thinking about shopping for Christmas, you got the guy in your life or the woman in your life likes to grill whatever, maybe the person who identifies as whoever. Anyway, just go to hasslecattlecompany.com or pitbarrelcooker.com if you're thinking about which grill or smoker to get them both with a pit barrel cooker. All right? There you go. So, Felix, congratulations on the victory. Back to Trump's margin of defeat in 4 states occurring in a data dump between 1:34 a.m. and 6:31 a.m. And for those of you who doubt this, why did the voting stop in 5 key battleground states that were absolutely necessary for Joe Biden to claim victory? Why did they stop at around 1 o'clock in the morning? Why did they stop? The one in Georgia was supposed to have stopped because a water main broke. Turned out it was a toilet that was leaking the day before. They used it as an excuse. There was no evidence whatsoever that would have affected the vote in any way, shape, or form, but they used it as that. And oddly enough, you can find that stuff out if you just do a little investigating. And of course, the mainstream media is not. And Fox News is not. Fox News is not. They're not curious at all. Yesterday there was a piece in, what was it? It was a conservative, traditionally conservative blog saying that Donald Trump should give it up, and it was retweeted by Jebediah Bila this morning, and I wrote her back and I said, "Wow, you know, the bubble bled." I quoted Don Henley. The bubble-headed bleached blonde goes on at 5. I don't think she liked that too much. Michigan listed as of 6:31 a.m. Eastern Time on November 4th, 2020. It showed 141,000 votes dumped for Biden, 5,900 for Trump. Okay? Wisconsin, 3:42 a.m. Central Time, November the 4th. 143,000 votes for Biden, 25,000 for Trump. An update in Georgia. 134 a.m., 136,000 votes for Biden, 29,000 for Trump. Even though he was leading, he was kicking ass in all of these states. He was kicking butt when the polls closed. He was way ahead. And you know why? Because you and I waited until Election Day because we didn't want our vote stolen like this. Biden was going to lead in the mail-in voting because Democrats wanted to steal the election. What we, you and me, but maybe the president didn't anticipate, I think the president did, was that Donald Trump would show a dramatic increase in his lead toward the end of the polls because people who voted in person really showed up that day. What you and I didn't know is that they would be so deceivious as to bring in millions of ballots in these key battleground states, have them counted in the dead of night, many of them with no down ticket vote, all for Joe Biden, forged signatures, voting machines that were online when they weren't supposed to be online, server in Germany, et cetera, et cetera. Michigan, 3:50 a.m., November the 4th, 54,000 votes for Biden, 4,700 for Donald Trump. All of this was enough to throw the election. The Democrats had no idea that Donald Trump was going to be out so far ahead that they'd have to do all of this, but they went into overdrive. And we're not falling for it. Why? Because we're not stupid. Because we're not stupid. Stupid. Let's see here. I want to start off with Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz talking about Trump winning in a landslide. Matt Gaetz is one of the only Republicans in Congress, actually, who has the cojones to stand up. My senators aren't saying a damned thing in Kansas, but they're asking me for money. And here's what I have to say to them. Well, I won't say it because, I don't have the same rules as the FCC with over-the-air signal. I could say F you if I really want. I could say it really, I could say F you, you SOB, and you POS, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not going to. I'm just going to say you're not getting a damn dime from me.
At all. What we know is that Donald Trump won an overwhelming landslide of the people who actually showed up and voted in person, whether that was on Election Day or during early voting. And then the farther the voter got away from...
This is actually a really good segment with Lex Luthor as the host. I'm sorry, Steve Hilton, the host on Fox.
The authentication process. The later the votes were counted, the better Joe Biden did with those voters. And so I think there's a lesson here for Republicans to learn. If we allow the voting process to be separated from identification, authentication, audit, and review, then we're asking for these types of outcomes, because when it comes to the people who actually have to show up in person and vote, this was a landslide for Donald Trump. And everybody knows it. No one seriously even questions it. The main legal problem for the Trump team is that illegal ballots have been commingled with larger universes of ballots. So you can prove that there is fraud as to some ballots, but if those fraudulent ballots are then mixed into a larger pool, it's very difficult to obtain remedies from the courts to exclude that entire pool of polluted ballots. But we should not act as if this is some unsolvable problem. Election fraud really requires two things. One, a very large pool of unaccounted for ballots that aren't attached to a human. And then second is the rapid processing of those ballots. So
these are all of the things that the Democrat Party did in the cover of darkness on November the 4th.
Should only get a ballot in the mail if they ask for one. But Democrats were able to create this universe of millions of ballots. And then
they're trying the same damned thing in the Senate runoff in Georgia. This PIG, person in government, Stacey Abrams, they've already, her organization and the Democrats have already sent off 675,000 mail-in ballots to places like New York and other places, telling college students they should go ahead and send in a vote and then come back to the state. They're trying to do it again in the cover of daylight, because they've already seen thus far that the national media will do precisely D word for Richard about it.
They were not processed as they came in most states.
D word for Richard, I think you know.
Did do that in Florida, by the way. Instead, what they did is process them, 600,000 at the time. Then they exclude the observers, and then they just wrap those polluted ballots into a broader universe. And I think that is where we're proving the fraud, but not obtaining the remedies that we would like to see.
There's something so smug and disgusting about the media's fawning over Biden. And this writer for the New Yorker magazine put her finger on why they're doing it.
This is actually very interesting, because there is a price to pay when you don't fawn over Joe Biden and you're a liberal.
Here's the quote. I think there's just a reluctance to make one's social life uncomfortable, that it was easier in the Trump era and it's going to be harder in the Biden era for reporters to not feel uncomfortable.
I wish that the media would either stop lying about Donald Trump or that they would start telling the truth about Joe Biden.
Okay, we are getting a little off topic. Here's a little bit more from Matt Getz. In several battleground states, the voting was equivalent to the kind of turnout, the kind of overwhelming victory that Saddam Hussein would get, that Hugo Chavez in Venezuela would get, that Kim Jong-un would get in North Korea.
I still believe that President Trump got an overwhelming majority of the votes of the people who actually showed up and voted in person. And I think it's not a coincidence that the farther you get away from a human being showing up in person to vote, the higher Joe Biden's margins got.
He's already said this.
It was always the votes that were in the mail or that...
But here's the money shot.
...came in the last day or the last final few days that seemed to give Joe Biden margins that would make Vladimir Putin and Bashar al-Assad blush.
There you go. All right. So Sidney Powell, who's been kind of quiet the last few days, have you noticed that? Maybe the Kraken is, coming around. Maybe she's, for lack of a better expression, girding her loins for victory, or stockpiling her munitions. Yeah, I think I like that better. She says that a lot of people who have been protesting this and speaking out against voter fraud have been getting threats. Now, this is not a surprise, because there are those who would certify the Michigan election, Republicans who were threatened that if they didn't, they would be bodily harmed, their families would be harmed, that their pets would be harmed. We've seen this. We've seen threats from the Democrats. We've seen people beaten at Trump rallies. I mean, I could go on and on. But here she is talking about many of those who are protesting. Mob-like tactics by the Democrat Party, not a surprise.
There was massive corruption. We've got evidence of corruption all across the country in countless districts. The machine ran an algorithm that...
Let's see it. Come on. Show it to me.
Shaved votes from Trump and awarded them to Biden. They used the machines to trash large batches of votes that should have been awarded to President Trump.
Yep.
And they used a machine to inject and add massive quantities of votes for Mr. Biden. The only reason we really found out how bad it was.
I thought Democrats told us that we like whistleblowers. You're saying that these people can't talk because they're going to lose their job.
Yep.
I would think that
They're
they
going to
get
lose
protection.
their job. Their lives have been threatened. One witness we know of got beaten up and is in the hospital. There have been all kinds of repercussions against people who have come forward to tell the truth. And no, Democrats don't like whistleblowers. They only like liars who claim they're whistleblowers.
No, they just like blowers. I use Bill Clinton as a prime example. It's low-hanging fruit. Again, not the best expression. So, in Nevada, it's Nevada. If you're from Nevada, it's Nevada. If you're not from Nevada, it's Nevada. But for Joe Biden to have pulled ahead overnight, he would have had to get 130% of the vote to Donald Trump getting negative 30% of the vote. What does that show you? Negative 30% means what? Yeah, 30% of the votes being taken away and given to Joe Biden, who got 130%. 1, 2, 3. We're not stupid. Stick with me. Yesterday there was a long all-day hearing in Arizona, which didn't stop Arizona from certifying the election for Joe Biden yesterday, but that's okay. Retired Army Colonel Phil Waldron is an information warfare expert, and he was being questioned by Jenna Ellis and Rudy Giuliani about the Dominion voting software. He says that it is your vote on these machines is less secure than your Venmo account.
Your vote is not as secure as your Venmo account.
See, I told you.
Pardon me, say that one more time.
Your vote is not as secure as your Venmo account.
Trust me, my son uses his Venmo account all the time when he asks me to send him some money via Venmo.
Can you think of any reason why anyone would hire them to count votes in the United States?
I could postulate a lot of...
Or any of them good reasons?
They have a strong lobby. They work with the government. They work with state government agencies.
They give Democrats lots and lots of money, and they lobby the hell out of Democrats, and the Democrats essentially are paying them to steal the election.
And they've got the infrastructure to sell their services.
Yep, pretty much. And by the way, Dominion got like a $150 million contract, even though there were people like John Oliver and others in the media who said that they shouldn't because it was a giant sham and paperless voting was a joke. Even John Oliver. There was some money changing hands, man. There was some, and it could be Republicans getting their palms greased too. This is why it's so important for Donald Trump to be in office another 4 years, because the swamp is, Joe Biden's trying to fill the swamp again with swamp dwellers like John Kerry, among others, Janet Yellen. Wow. Are you ready to go back there? I'm not going back there. Not going back there. Here is the Colonel Waldron talking about whether or not, and they were promised that these voting machines were not connected to the interweb. Oh, they were.
We're not connected to the internet. He stated no votes leave this country. This is all things he's stated publicly.
So it's just a website, correct?
Right. So are you willing to say under oath that you have seen the connection to the internet? You have seen it go offshore to Germany, Frankfurt.
Oh, wait a minute. Wasn't there a server in Germany that was seized that Louis Gohmert said showed Donald Trump had 410 electoral votes? I want to see the server. You keep teasing me with the server. I think that, my friends, is the Kraken.
Are these things that you have personally seen and can say that is not true?
Our white hat hackers, yes, they have that traffic in the packets.
So why would he make that kind of comment, do you think?
Either not knowing, believing the myth, or not wanting.
Or he's lying.
the truth to be known.
Which would be lying. Wow. I can figure this out, and I'm not a genius. So we continue the fight. We are not going quietly into the night. In fact, we're not going. Shnuh-uh. I don't think so. I say that with a wink and a nod, but there's nothing friendly about how I feel about this. And there are 80 million other of us who are quite ready to fight. The New Georgia Project, a seemingly partisan voter registration group co-founded by person in government, PIG, Stacey Abrams, has denied impropriety after Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger claimed that the organization encouraged non-Georgia residents to register to vote in the state Senate runoff elections and sent out 650,000 mail-in ballots because they knew that the media would not have any curiosity about vote stealing like they do, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, PBS, Fox News. It's stunning. It's stunning. If this were the shoe on the other foot, it wouldn't be 80 million people are conspiracy theorists. It would be we're pissed and the Republicans are trying to steal the vote. It's very obvious. I mean, look, the voting stopped in 5 key battleground states that handled Donald Trump his victory when Joe Biden was way ahead when the voting stopped. And then look at in these cities here, there were massive in Pennsylvania, 670,000 votes came in for Donald Trump overnight and only 3,000 for Joe Biden. That's cheating. But because it's Joe Biden who is being declared the victor and Donald Trump who is having the election attempting to have the election stolen from him, then let's just talk about the 2 dogs that he brings with him, the German Shepherds. Yeah. And the fact that one of them yanked him by his collar and knocked Joe Biden off his feet and he broke his foot and whatever. Whatever. Executive Director of the New Georgia Project said, as Georgians are turning out in record numbers to have their voices heard at the polls. No, they're not. They're sending in mail-in ballots that are illegal from dead people. The Secretary of State is resorting to desperate attempts to smear law-abiding operations and scare eligible Georgians from registering to vote in critical upcoming elections. We will not be deterred. T-U-R-D, turd. Raffensperger announced earlier Monday that his office will launch an investigation into voting groups accused of encouraging non-Georgia residents to register to vote in the runoffs. We have opened an investigation into a group called America Votes, who is sending absentee ballots to people at addresses where they have not lived since 1994. Yeah. Last week, Stacey Abrams, the person in government, announced that 900,000 Georgians had requested mail-in ballots for the runoff elections between Sally Loeffler and Raphael Warnock, who's a radical, rabid, anti-Semitic, black supremacist, racist, in other words. So let's switch gears and let's talk about the coronavirus. My daughter isn't home today. She's distance learning. She's having her academic career ruined while many kids are having their athletic careers ruined, their performance on stage careers as actors or singers ruined, their socialization as kids ruined. We will never be able to count the cost. And it's even causing kids to kill themselves. I'm going to go to Tucker Carlson last night, because he said some amazing things, and I want to get to this, and I'll get to some of the other stuff in a second. But Tucker Carlson talked at length about this because Anthony Fauci suddenly says that it's okay for schools to be open. Why is my kid home then? Here's Tucker Carlson talking about Dr. Anthony Fauci, who is a little troll, lying piece of crap, who said that we had to wear masks, went and threw out the first pitch at a baseball game, and then sat next to two people glad-handing one another with no mask on moments later, as many Democrats are doing, and I'll share a couple examples in just a moment. But here is Tucker Carlson talking about schools being closed and the cost.
That story has not received a lot of coverage, but it's been confirmed tonight. The authorities have admitted it. 60 million American children languishing in their rooms since spring, sitting in front of screens, learning nothing, isolated from human contact, in many cases driven to mental illness. We can now report there was no reason for any of that. The experts were wrong. They had no idea what they were doing. But the most amazing part, and this really is the headline of the story, is that they knew they were wrong when they did it, but they kept lying about it even as American children began to kill themselves.
My daughter broke down the other day. She said, I can't see any of my friends. As a teenager, that's unbelievable to suffer such isolation. And then on top of that, be scared half to death for a virus that for them is 99.9998, in her case, chance of survival. My mother is 91 years old. She went to the doctor for a physical the other day. They said she had the coronavirus antibody, and she never knew she had coronavirus. My sister Lori has it now. She had a little bit of a fever. Said it feels a little like the flu. Her husband tested positive. He has no symptoms. He's like 65 years old. Here is Tucker. Let's make sure this is queued up properly. Talking about New York City. What's going on in New York City?
Now, from a medical standpoint, nothing has changed. New York didn't get an early shipment of the Pfizer vaccine. There wasn't some groundbreaking new research paper that revolutionized our understanding of the coronavirus. Nothing like that at all. In fact, parents simply had enough. And they forced Bill de Blasio to admit the obvious. This virus is not a threat to children. As de Blasio put it in that weird euphemistic way that dumb people speak, quote, we know that the health realities for the youngest kids are the most favorable. Well, yes, we do know that. We've known it for a long time. We knew it when Bill de Blasio shut down New York schools.
Why did they shut them down?
And Tony Fauci knew it too, though he didn't say anything about it. Now he's decided to say something about it, 8 months late. Here's Anthony Fauci on Sunday. And as you watch this, keep in mind that this man on the screen is leading our response, America's response, to the coronavirus.
Unbelievable.
Close the bars and keep the schools open is what we really say. Obviously, you don't have one size fits all, but as I said in the
Make up your effing mind.
past, and as you accurately quoted me, the default position should be to try as best as possible within reason to keep the children in school or to get them back to school. If you look at the data, the spread among children and from children is not really very big at all, not like one would have suspected.
Then why the F have kids' lives been ruined? Why the hell have they been ruined? Here is some more Tucker with regard to, what is it? Data.
And yet somehow he never thought to do that. That's our corona czar. Over the summer, when the data looked the same as they do tonight, Fauci explained that he couldn't really say if kids should be allowed to go to school. It was, quote, complicated. Except it wasn't complicated. It wasn't complicated then. It's not complicated now.
Nope.
In April, many months ago, a study by the Journal of the American Medical Association found that school-age
Isn't April the month after March?
children who get the
It was a
coronavirus,
long time ago.
quote, develop only mild symptoms and typically recover within 2 weeks. Months later, same story. In June, a study in The Lancet affirmed this, quote, COVID-19 is generally a mild disease in children, including in infants. Other studies found the exact same thing. No study has found anything but that.
Just got a note said my mic is distorted. I'll bring it down a little. Okay.
There was never much question about it. But if you're looking for more evidence, check the death rates. Those are publicly available. Deaths are not hard to track. Consider the state of New Jersey. That's one of the states hit hardest by the coronavirus. So far in New Jersey, not a single school-aged child has died from the coronavirus. Not one.
What?
Many children have died from car accidents and fires and drug ODs and suicide. None have died from COVID-19. In California, the biggest state in the United States, 40 million people live there. A total of 2 people under the age of 18 have died from the coronavirus. 2.
Unbelievable.
The numbers nationwide, according to the latest CDC numbers, 123 Americans under the age of 18 have died from the coronavirus. 123 out of 350 million.
Unbelievable.
We shut the schools anyway, crushing millions of kids, affecting their futures in ways we can't even understand
I've been saying this for months
at this point, but it's clear it's bad. Really bad in some cases. So the question is, why did we do this? And the answer is to save the teachers. The teachers' unions pushed this, and their servants in the Democratic Party obeyed.
Yeah, pretty much. This is all about the teachers. This is all about the teachers saying that maybe they're concerned about their own safety while they go to Target, where people work behind cash registers, and people in Home Depot, and people in grocery stores have worked for the last 8 months, and yet teachers can't go to school. Where I work, I have met hundreds and hundreds of people over the last 8 months. We've had a couple of people. Sorry about that, European links. I didn't realize that my mic was distorted. I wanted you to hear my very awesome tones. Okay. So, teachers' unions. It's all been about the teachers' unions. Here's Tucker about it.
And ignored. Here's what the president said about schools in July.
We have to open our schools. Open our
This is what the president said months ago.
schools. Stop this nonsense. We open our schools.
Oh, he was called a charlatan for that. I mean, surely thousands would die.
Stop this nonsense, we reopen our schools. Now, in point of fact, as a scientific matter, that turned out to be sound policy based on sound data. But the media told us the exact opposite of that. One headline at CNN warned of, quote, the very clear dangers of Donald Trump's push to reopen schools. Google didn't censor that as misinformation. It should have. Another headline called out, quote, Donald Trump's mind-bending logic on school reopenings.
We're not stupid.
Mind-bending logic. Those damn data again. Joe Biden's campaign didn't want to hear it. They didn't want you to hear it either. School was dangerous.
Listen to this.
Period.
Listen to
Donald Trump claimed the opposite. Therefore, it was too dangerous to send your kids or for you to decide to send them. Watch.
Ignoring how the virus spreads, risking teachers and parents' lives, going against the advice of experts.
It's had very little impact on young people.
Do you trust him to do what's best for our children? Because this is not a test.
Unbelievable. Everything that the president has said about pretty much everything has been right. Everything. Operation Warp Speed has got to the front. 3 vaccines that are over 95% effective. They're going to be released in a couple of weeks. That happened in 10 months, where normally it would take years. I mean, peace in the Middle East, getting us out of foreign wars. President hasn't gotten us into a military conflict the first time since Jimmy Carter. Right about the economy, right about deregulation, right about lower taxes, right about this, right about that, right about rebuilding military. And every step of the way, the media's been saying he's wrong, and they were wrong. And now they're trying to tell us that you're crazy. All 80 million of us are crazy because we think that there were some, well, that the election's being stolen, even though it's painfully obvious and overwhelming that they're trying to do it. One more piece from Tucker Carlson with regard to kids and schools. It's the Nancy Pelosi basically committing, I'm not even sure what to call it, endangering the lives of people.
Nation's Uber mom, who, by the way, is also 80 years old, Mrs. Nancy D. Pelosi. Watch Mrs. Pelosi fret about the health of our children.
Are you confident that students and teachers will go back safely to school in the fall?
No, I think what we heard from the secretary was malfeasance and dereliction of duty.
She's a hag, a happy American grandma.
This is appalling. They're messing. They're messing. The president
You are honestly, you are Cruella de Vil. Sir, this woman is Cruella de Vil in real life.
And his administration are messing with the health of our children. Going back to school presents the biggest risk for the spread of the coronavirus.
No, you'd be much better off staying at home and drinking or ODing on pain meds or just killing yourself.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, happy American grandma. CNN had to admit, and this is crazy how this happens. Donald Trump has been saying that China has been lying about the coronavirus from day one. You know why? Because communist countries always lie. You remember Chernobyl? Yeah, the Russians pretty much tried to keep that under wraps until the radiation started showing up all over Europe. Yeah, they always lie. Tiananmen Square. One day there are students out there. The next day they're all gone. Yeah, they crushed them with tanks, shot them, and literally washed their massacred bones down the sewer grates at Tiananmen Square to the tune of over 2,000 people. But with coronavirus, you can depend on the Chinese, right? Here's CNN's big revelation yesterday, when we've known the truth since day one.
Early response to the coronavirus pandemic. The documents are from Hubei province, home to the city of Wuhan, where the pandemic...
You can't call it the China virus, though.
...pandemic is thought to have started. They show...
Wait. You've been saying you can't call it the China virus. Right now you're saying that the virus came from China.
Authorities released misleading...
See, if I came from Ireland, I'd be Irish.
Public data on the number of deaths and the number of cases. They took, on average, 3 weeks to diagnose a new case and much more. CNN's Nick Payton-Walsh is breaking this story for us right now.
An unprecedented leak of internal Chinese documents to CNN reveals for the first time what China knew in the opening weeks of the COVID-19
basically what you didn't know.
Pandemic, but did not tell the world. A whistleblower who said they worked inside the Chinese healthcare system shared the documents with CNN online, which show a chaotic local response from the start.
Meanwhile, they would not look at documents showing voter malfeasance in the United States. That just goes in the trash.
This lack of transparency sort of also contributed to the crisis.
Seeing information in black and white was very revealing and instructive.
Yeah, well, because there were all the other clues, like, I don't know, they're China and they killed 60 million of their own people during the Cultural Revolution. I mean, that wasn't enough to know that China lies.
CNN has verified them with half a dozen experts.
And all those political prisoners, people try to speak out and they just suddenly disappear.
A European security
all those little girl babies that were left on the side of the road because China didn't want girl babies, so they just let them die.
And using complex digital...
Other than that, you can absolutely depend on China to tell the truth.
Or forensic analysis looking at their source code.
The documents provide a number of key revelations about the province of Hubei, home to the epicenter city of Wuhan.
This Nick Payton-Walsh, right there, Nick Payton-Walsh. He's got 3 names, so it means he's really credible.
Some of the death tolls were off. The worst day in these reports is February the 17th, where these say 196 people who were confirmed cases died. But that day, they only announced 93.
Imagine that from the Communist Chinese. I know, crazy, right? This is another case of COVID dictators. Governor Gavin Newsom said he's considering imposing a stay-at-home order in California to curb the explosion in coronavirus cases, that they threatened to overwhelm the hospitals by Christmas, which means that none of the safety measures, none of the things that this governor has told people to do have done D word for Richard. Nothing that he has done has helped. So I'll just go ahead and tell everybody to stay home and really ruin their lives so they can, OD on prescription painkillers and just kill themselves. Sheila Kuehl was seen eating outside at Il Forno Trattoria, an Italian restaurant near her home in Santa Monica. Let me show you. She's really pretty. She's really pretty. Yeah, look at her. Woo! Yeah, earlier that day, she described dining as the most dangerous situation, telling a meeting of L.A. County Board of Supervisors that the practice was unsafe. She said this is a serious health emergency and we must take it seriously. The servers are not protected from us, and they're not protected from the other tables that they're serving at that particular time, plus all the hours in which they're working. Okay. Kuehl's visit to the restaurant came on the last day of the outdoor dining. The outdoor dining ban took effect on county's 31,000 restaurants last Wednesday evening. Yeah. One Twitter wrote, as a restaurant employee who's been affected by her vote, this is infuriating. There needs to be accountability from the voters on this. Another said that if Kuehl believed dining outdoors was dangerous, as she said, she would have not been dining out herself. Well, yeah, but you see, as I've been saying about political leaders around the country, like Gavin Newsom, like Nancy Pelosi, could go on and on and on, hypocrites that either have a death wish or they don't believe the bull crap they're peddling. And of course, it's the second. It's the latter. Mayor of San Jose, California, attended a Thanksgiving party with family members who were not part of his household after telling citizens to cancel big gatherings this year. Cases are spiking, in part because we're letting our guards and our masks down. Let's cancel the big gatherings this year and focus on keeping each other safe. Following day, Liccardo celebrated Thanksgiving with an unknown number of guests at a Saratoga home of his elderly parents. Liccardo staff confirmed that the mayor attended the Thanksgiving event, but refused to specify how many people in different households were present, as well as whether attendees wore masks and when they were not seating, or wore masks when they were not eating. It's a private event, not public, Liccardo's chief of staff, Jim Reed, repeatedly told NBC Bay Area. We are going to redraw the line between what is personal and what is public because that line has become blurred. Well, you know what? It's none of your effing business who comes to my house for Thanksgiving. But in states like Pennsylvania, the governor said that if you had more than 6 people at your Thanksgiving and there were people there from outside your household, you were subject to 30 days in jail and a $1,000 fine. There's a journalist posting a video of her counting people exiting a church in Chilliwack, British Columbia. So this is in the United States, but it's the same kind of mania that's going on in the media. Exiting church on a Sunday to count people. Georgie Smith is this person who's with the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, the CBC, and covers the Vancouver area, appears to be sitting and actually counting people leaving church, okay? This kind of reminds me of, I don't know, a certain police group that worked with Adolf Hitler, who probably counted people coming out of synagogues at one point, and then counted them going on railroad cars. Here we are.
45, 46, 47, 48.
She said that I counted more than 60 people inside this church in Chilliwack, a bold breach of provincial health officer orders to suspend gatherings due to record high COVID. Another church nearby was visited by Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Unfortunately, both religious leaders declined to speak with us at this time. This is what Georgie said. People were a little angry. They said on social media, you actually sat outside of a church apparently with binoculars and a camera to spy on people who are trying to worship. Seriously? Stalking people at church, our country is sliding into the pits of hell. You should reevaluate your priorities if this is what you're choosing to report on. Wow. Wow. Articles of impeachment have been filed against Ohio Governor Mike DeWine over abuse of power. Yay! This has also happened to Gretchen Whitmer. Sorry, I get those confused. Ohio State Representative John Becker joining some other Republicans. He's abused his power during the pandemic, noting the governor vetoed Senate Bill 55, threatened to veto other General Assembly legislation, including Senate Bill 311, which seeks to severely limit the power of the governor during the pandemic. Governor DeWine's mismanagement, misfeasance, Abuse of power and other crimes are, but not limited to, meddling in the conduct of presidential primary election, arbitrarily closing and placing curfews on certain businesses while allowing other businesses to remain open, which has happened all over the country, by the way. Rather than hearing the cries of Ohioans, Governor DeWine continues to stifle those cries by finding more inventive ways to use masks to muffle the voices of the people. And what do masks do, kids? They broadcast fear. That's why you got to wear them. They broadcast fear. They don't do anything else. They just broadcast fear. And they constantly remind you that if you try to return to normal, you'll die. Or you'll kill somebody. It'll be all your fault. I'm not lying. He continues to have callous disregard for the fact that his isolation policies have led to a shockingly high number of suicides, alarming rates of drug abuse, persistently high unemployment, and the forced abandonment of the elderly by their loved ones. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Here's a Los Angeles, or no, sorry. It's Las Vegas Raider. Now I'm trying to figure out who this guy is, but every time I try to say Las Vegas Raider talks about fake COVID diagnosis on Google, if you look it up, it sends you all over the place. You can't find this guy's name. This is how you're being guided by Google. This is, I mean, seriously, I want you to just Google a couple things. Google a couple things like Democrats trying to steal the election. You will get taken all over hell and back, but you will not be told the truth. This is serious, guys. This is really serious. Here's this player saying that he got a call from the Vegas Health Department, even though he gets tested every day for COVID, saying that he tested positive. And then when he told them, I get tested every day and I'm negative, they backtracked.
Call from the Nevada Health Department saying that I tested positive for COVID. The Nevada Health Department receives every single COVID test, positive or negative. They receive the results. And obviously, my organization would have been the ones to know if I had received a positive test before this organization, the Nevada Health Department. When I told them that I get tested every single day for my work and that they would have known prior, and I told them that I played for the Raiders.
It makes you kind of wonder why there's this explosion of COVID cases around the country that has happened since the election and since the announcement of 3 very effective vaccines by the Trump administration. Because you see, the masks and everything and the business closings and everything that Democrats have been saying for the last 9 months have been wrong, and they've done nothing. Because right now, it's blowing up all across the country, so it has to have been wrong, right?
Began to feel all flustered and realized that they got caught in a lie. When they got caught in a lie, they told me to ignore the phone call, to act like they never called, and to pretend that this never happened. To me, this is 1,000 a political stunt, and they're trying to... And just so we're clear, when I called them out for this, saying that it was a lie...
You can't find this guy's video online right now.
They told me to... They said, oh, sorry, we made a mistake. You actually didn't test positive. You... all of your tests are negative. So to me, that's telling me...
That's bullshit. What the... Really?
I mean, I already knew, but this is telling me everything right now, that they're calling folks who probably haven't tested positive or haven't even tested at all and are telling them that they have positive tests. So to me, I'm beyond frustrated. I can't believe this. I believe it's a stunt to try to shut the country back down.
Whoa! Bravo! Normally, you think of athletes as kind of big and dumb. Nice. You can't find this guy's video online. And if I put this on YouTube, it'll probably be taken down. And if I had Facebook, because they shut me down the day after the election with no cause and no remedy, they probably would take it down. Yeah. Oh, man. We need Parler and Rumble and MagaBook more than ever. Parler, Rob Carson show, Parler. That's where I am. And my following there has been huge. MagaBook, M-A-G-A book. It's a smaller concern, really nice concern, though. Nice page. Rumble, the alternative to YouTube, where you're watching this now, most probably. Thank God. Thank God for them. Here is the idiot governor of New York, who is a, dear God, please, I hope they do impeachment against this bastard, because he has caused the worst COVID crisis in the entire country, despite the president sending him thousands of ventilators, a hospital ship, and building a massive hospital to the tune of $70 million that treated less than 100 patients by converting a convention center. None of that happened, but now it's back out of control again, and now he's going to ruin Christmas for you. Watch this.
Happy and cheery, and we're going to come together, and we're doing gift buying, and we're going to do holiday celebrations. We're going to start to have meals together. The family's coming back together for the holiday season. Students are all coming home. Religious celebrations during the holiday season. Yeah, COVID is the Grinch. Think of it that way.
They really just want to ruin everything, don't they? They want to ruin a Hanna-Barbera. No, it's not Hanna-Barbera. Cartoon classic from the Warner Brothers. They did the Bugs Bunny cartoons.
And the COVID Grinch is an opportunist.
Talk about the pot calling the kettle black.
And the COVID Grinch sees this.
He has a book out about his handling of the pandemic. He has a book out. Who's the opportunist here? He's been nominated for a Grammy for his stupid press conferences.
Season of viral transmission. All those things that the holiday season brings, they all increase social activity, they all increase mobility, and they will all increase viral transmission.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo told viewers to watch out for the COVID Grinch during the holiday season. Cuomo painted a picture to viewers that holiday gatherings will cause massive spread of the disease in New York.
They'll kill you. Merry Christmas, everybody.
So, this is the season of the COVID Grinch. Also, when you hear that holiday music, Marcia, dun, 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 think.
Did you sing it again?
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, you're cute. This is really cute.
Think COVID Grinch.
Don't think about happy thoughts about being with your family for Christmas. Just want you to be afraid.
And
put that mask on and be afraid.
Be on alert, because that is part of this holiday season. And the holiday season is going to have a profound effect. It already has.
This is where he paints the holiday season as the season of everybody dying because it's your fault.
When people started to travel for the holiday season, when they started to travel for Thanksgiving, when students started to go home, when people started to shop, when they started to move around, increased mobility, increased...
No, it all happened actually the day after the election, you ass. The coming home for the holidays and the holiday travel, weeks later. Thanksgiving happened on the 26th. You are a lying sack of crap.
Social activity increased viral infection rate.
I'm done. I'm done with that son of a bitch. Sorry. Tried to be really good, not say anything, dirty words or anything. He's a son of a bitch. Done with him. Done with him. I got to go. I got one more story I want to share with you. I heard my friend Chris Plant talking about this morning. The First Lady of the United States is an amazing woman. And very little good has been said about her in all of her efforts in the last 4 years, whether that be for childhood literacy, whatever it has been. Everything has been savaged. Her redoing of the Rose Garden, all of this stuff. She's been savaged, and it's sickening. And today in the Washington Post, they shredded her. They said that the reason why they looked at her race. She's white, so it's bad. What she did in the White House was terrible because she's white. I'm not going to get into their story. I don't have it in front of me. I don't really care. But I think she's a wonderful person, and I think, as I said earlier, she was the second coming of Jackie O if she had a D in front of her name, and it's sad. It's sad that the president and his family have had to go through what they've gone through. Thank God the president of the United States is a patriot, and he's fighting for us, despite losing $1 billion, despite being savaged every single day. And he's the only person any of us know that could handle it and come back swinging. And that's why we need to fight for him now as vociferously as he has fought for us. Here is the First Lady and this year's Christmas with the White House theme. Just enjoy the beauty of it. Okay? And don't listen to a-holes like the COVID dictators of New York and Ohio and Michigan. Enjoy. Start from the beginning. I don't see any Chairman Mao Christmas bulbs like there were on Barack Obama's Christmas tree. Beautiful. There's nothing wrong with this. Oh my God, patriotism. Be best. Stunning. And she is too. Beautiful. Oh, they're the ornaments from children. That's terrible. So, Democrats, 80 million of us are not going to let you steal the election. It's not going to happen. Also, a lot more of us are not going to let you steal Christmas or Hanukkah. Although, you know, but Christmas, it's the Christmas season. That's what it is. Really, I'm a Christian, so I'm unabashedly Christmas number one. I'm not going to let you ruin Christmas. No frickin' way. It's too important. It's too important why we celebrate it, and it's too important with whom we celebrate it. So, Andrew Cuomo can suck it. Time for me to go. Want to remind you that Felix Stankiewicz, he won the this month's, November's, I should say, freezer full of Wagyu beef from Hassel Cattle Company and a Pit Barrel Classic cooker. We are starting all over again. If you subscribe to my channel on YouTube or rumble.com, both under Rob Carson Show, just do that. And one lucky winner at the end of the month will get this glorious prize package. And I want to mention, I've been introduced to some interesting things because a lot of people didn't know who I was before I got a show on Newsmax. And now the show is exploding and people are saying, wow, here's a guy who's really funny. Unlike Jimmy Kimmel, he's not vitriolic. He's not a complete douche. And it's pretty cool. And they're realizing that conservatives can be funny, which I've been doing for 30 years, writing for Rush Limbaugh and others. Anyway, it's interesting to see how much things have exploded. And there was a new group of people that I've discovered on my Rumble channel. My Rumble channel, I just started about a month and a half, 2 months ago. Or so, and so there's 25, 30 videos on there, maybe, and these are Carson binge watchers. I thought it was pretty interesting. A bunch of people like, Rob, I watched all your shows this weekend. I'm like, holy crud! So I thank you. I don't expect that by any means, but I hope you get a lot of the show. You enjoy the show. You get a different perspective on the show. Everybody's got an opinion. I mean, opinions are easy. A unique take on things is different, and if you can even make it entertaining, that's even better. So. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. God bless you. God bless you. Keep fighting the fight for this president and this country. Do not go quietly into the night. Do not go anywhere. Don't catch the stupid. God bless. I'll see you soon.